Well, my question will explain this.
I don't want a question. I want an answer. Does Earth rotate underneath planes at 15 degrees an hour as per the claim of Coriolis or not?
The Earth rotates, as you put it, underneath an aeroplane's entirely...
Well, then you'd have shortened flight times. If Earth rotates underneath aeroplanes, then the flight times would be reduced because Earth's rotating underneath them. And they don't have shortened flight times. Therefore, Earth's not rotating under planes.
How fast is the Earth rotating?
It's not. You don't get to beg the question.
What a day! What a lovely day!
It surprises me that NASA have got so many useful references. You know, I've got a box with gas particles, or a depiction of a box with gas particles on. And NASA have got their own definition that we cite quite frequently about requiring walls for the container to have gas pressure. And same applies when they're talking about their actual aeronautics. In this reference that Chocolate's about to dig out, they're going to be describing a flat, non-rotating, stationary plane, i.e. flat surface, when they're flying. That's what you've got to consider. Just amazing. Cut to
I have a question for the panel.
Go ahead, Rumpus.
About rotating Earth.
Earth doesn't rotate.
Think?
Hold on.
What does the panel think?
There's already a problem.
Earth?
There's already a problem. You've already begged the question. You've got a question about a rotating Earth. Earth doesn't rotate.
Yeah.
If it did, flight times would be reduced.
No, it wouldn't. Just imagine it, though. Just imagine a theoretical scenario.
Well, just beg the question. No, I've just told you. No, there's a problem. You've started by just telling us to assume Earth's spinning, and I'm not going to. Zanuck didn't get away with it, and neither will you. No, you're not going to get to beg the question here. If Earth was spinning, flight times would be reduced, and they're not. Because Earth's not rotating underneath aeroplanes as it must if you have Coriolis deviation.
Here we go. I'll ask the question about rotating Earth underneath airplanes.
Well, we haven't got one, so there's no point asking. There's no point asking me a question about an Earth that doesn't rotate, because it doesn't rotate, and I'm not going to allow you to beg the question.
Just imagine this for a moment.
No, I'm not going to allow begging the question here. Are you deaf?
Beg the question. I'm asking you to imagine some certain.
No, that's begging the question. Imagining it is just you telling me I'm going to imagine you're begging the question fallacy from your first three words. No.
Just imagine the scenario I'm describing.
No, I'm not going to imagine it. It's not spinning, so I'm not going to imagine it. You imagine it, fantasist. You can imagine it, you bloody fantasist.
Okay. I'll imagine it then.
Good for you. Sod off and imagine it elsewhere, shit for brains. I'm not going to listen to your musings and imagination about what Earth does. No, you don't get to beg the question and just parrot on and plough on regardless. You don't get to beg the question here.
Only we can do that.
No, we're disproving Earth is spinning by asserting that if we had an Earth that spins, we'd have shortened flight times. We don't, therefore it doesn't spin.
No, we wouldn't. You don't understand the geometry of the situation.
We don't understand.
Okay.
Hey,
hold on.
Because we don't have a Coriolis?
Chocolate, hold on. Chocolate, hold on. From the chat, Rumpus.
In that sentence, Nathan,
I'm asking you. Shut up. You said 15 degrees an hour from the chat. 15 degrees an hour of Earth turning underneath, right?
You just imagined a rotating Earth there, Nathan, and you said...
I just asked you if 15 degrees an hour, which you quoted from the chat, was 15 degrees an hour of Earth rotating underneath.
It is indeed rotating at 15 degrees.
Well, then you'd have shortened flight times. If Earth's rotating underneath at 15 degrees an hour, then flight times would be reduced. Therefore, Earth is not rotating. I don't need to imagine anything. Flights disprove it's turning.
No, they don't. They prove that it's not. So, here we go.
The Earth rotate under airplanes, right?
Yeah,
so here we go.
Does Earth rotate under aeroplanes at 15 degrees an hour to give you a Coriolis deviation or not?
Well, my question will explain this.
I don't want a question. I want an answer. Does Earth rotate underneath planes at 15 degrees an hour as per the claim of Coriolis or not?
The Earth rotates, as you put it, underneath an aeroplane's entirely...
Well, then you'd have shortened flight times. If Earth rotates underneath aeroplanes, then the flight times would be reduced because Earth's rotating underneath them. And they don't have shortened flight times. Therefore, Earth's not rotating under planes.
How fast is the Earth rotating?
It's not. You don't get to beg the question, shit for brains, 5th time in a row. Don't ask me how fast it's rotating. It isn't. If it was, flight times would be reduced.
No, they wouldn't.
Yes,
So-
they would. You've just said, yeah, Earth's claimed to be rotating underneath at 15 degrees an hour. That would shorten flight times.
No, it wouldn't.
Just a hand wave. No, yeah, it would. If Earth's rotating underneath that plane, then it cannot have anything other than the flight time reduced. Because Earth's rotating underneath it according to the claim of a ball Earth that spins. That's why we don't need to beg the question. We can prove it's not spinning because Earth isn't rotating under planes as per your claim earlier.
Give you any more time
Can I
to
ask
discuss
him,
it in hand wave.
Rumpus?
You don't
if
allow me to
planes
get
aren't-
more than a sentence out. So if what you're saying is
Rumpus.
true, Nathan, then the time taken to move, say, to run up and down a train and up towards the direction.
No,
God,
that's
here
describing
we go.
something happening in the inertial reference frame. That's not Coriolis effect. Me running up and down a train isn't me observing something from a non-inertial spinning reference frame. This isn't Coriolis effect. This is a red herring fallacy.
This is not
This
indeed
is
a Coriolis
sad
effect.
is
It's got
what
nothing
it
to do
is.
Just say it again. Me running up and down a train is not me observing something from a non-inertial spinning reference frame. This is not Coriolis effect. You're detailing stuff that's happening to projectiles in inertial frames of reference. This isn't Coriolis. You don't understand what Coriolis is if you're going to detail what a man does when he's running up and down a train, because Coriolis is an observation from a non-inertial spinning reference frame, you moron.
Nothing you've
define
described has got anything to do with Coriolis, of course. Flight time.
Have him
define it.
Define the Coriolis effect.
Define
You
it.
don't understand what
Define
Coriolis
it.
is.
Define it then. Define Coriolis.
Right. Coriolis is the force that is
Wrong. Immediately wrong. Coriolis is not a force, it's a pseudo force. Rumpus is a thick shit. Doesn't understand that it's not a force. You think that we've got actual deviation because it's being forced, you moron? No, idiot. Coriolis is not a force. It's an apparent deviation, not an actual deviation, you complete retard.
Let me finish, and then you can attack me. Right.
What, let you finish telling me it's a force? No, I'll stop you in your tracks, you retard, and tell you, because I'm in authority here. I'm telling you, it's not a force, retard!
It is a force. That's
Wrong! It's a pseudo-force, not actual deflection, not actual force, pseudo-force. Coriolis is not a force, you are a retard, Rumpus.
With respect to the rotating,
Rumpus, what does pseudo mean again?
Sorry, with respect to the rotating reference frame, how is a man running up and down a train watching with respect from the reference frame that's spinning? It isn't. You're an idiot.
That's right, because that's nothing to do.
That's right. So when I stopped you and said this isn't Coriolis when detailing a man running up and down a train, I was correct. Yeah, that's why I stopped you, because it's a red herring fallacy.
Yeah, but this has nothing to do with Coriolis. Flight
Yeah,
time.
that's right, dickhead. What you're detailing is nothing to do with Coriolis. So shut up.
Then why'd you
But
bring
you
it
don't
up?
understand what Coriolis
Yeah,
is.
why'd you bring it up then, you fucking moron? Why are you talking about something that isn't Coriolis and then openly declaring that it's not Coriolis? Yeah, we know. We're telling you.
Flight times have got.
Don't
nothing-
shout at me, shit for brains. Don't tell me what flight times do. You're a retard who doesn't understand Coriolis. It's not a force, moron. And what a guy does while running up and down a train, as you've just admitted, is not Coriolis. So why are you even here to argue about nonsense that isn't Coriolis?
You are confused between.
I'm not confused, you ad homing little shit. You've just told us that a man running up and down a train isn't Coriolis. So what, you're going to tell me I don't understand when you're not detailing it?
Flight times have got nothing to do.
Don't tell me what flight times is while you eat your microphone. If the Earth was spinning underneath planes, flight times would be reduced. They're not. So Earth's not spinning underneath. To have Coriolis effect, Earth must spin underneath and you must observe things from that spinning reference frame. It's only ever an observation from a spinning reference frame. It's not what the guy does running up and down the train, retard.
Correct. The guy running.
Yeah, so shut up with your example about what a guy does. Correct. Yeah, I know I'm correct. I'm the one who's right. You're the one detailing guys running up and down trains. Complete non sequitur.
Flight times have everything.
Don't tell me what flight times do. On a flight time, it's not an observation from a Coriolis effect inducing non-inertial reference frame. If you're on the flight, you're not experiencing Coriolis, idiot. Don't you know what Coriolis is? You don't experience it on a flight.
Correct. And flight.
So why are you talking about it? You unbelievable fuckwit. I hope you enjoy the taste of my salty nuts while I teabag your stupid ass. Yeah, you keep conceding that we're not talking about Coriolis when you talk about what a fucking plane does or what a man does running up and down a train. You're not going to talk about what happens in the inertial reference frame when Coriolis effect is not that.
You keep using flight times as proof of the lack of Coriolis.
No, a proof of a lack of Earth spinning, moron. To have Coriolis effect, you need Earth rotating under planes. And if Earth's rotating under planes, it shortens flight times. The shortening of flight times isn't Coriolis, but to have Coriolis, you'd need Earth rotating under planes. It's not that complicated, retard.
Correct. Coriolis.
Yeah, I know I'm correct. I understand that this entire conversation, you've done nothing but obfuscate with details of things that aren't Coriolis, and then confirmed when I pointed that out that I'm correct. Yes, I know I'm correct, Rumpus.
Flight times have no...
Don't tell me what flight times do. That's not an observation from a non-inertial reference frame. How many times, retard?
You keep on using flight times...
Yeah, to debunk the Earth, which, if it had a Coriolis effect, would have Earth turning under planes. So I'm detailing how we debunk the claim we have Coriolis effect. Because if we had it, Earth would be rotating under planes, and it does not. You, on the other hand, are detailing what the plane does, whilst detailing how we have Coriolis.
There are two things, and of course you get them confused. It's quite simple.
Rumpus,
Here we
don't
go.
you have
So an
two different
aeroplane
reference
and a
frames
flight
in your
time.
narrative?
Let me finish.
Rumpus.
Don't interrupt me. I've only had...
You do what the fuck he likes, Rumpus. You're a prick. You're a shill for the globe. You're an asshole, Rumpuser. All you do is talk, people. Whenever I have a conversation with you, I've got to permanently pepper the mute button just so I can be fucking heard. All you've done is talk shit here. You haven't talked about anything related to Coriolis effect. You haven't confirmed that 15 degrees an hour is Earth rotating underneath.
Give me a chance. If I will, I'll cover all of those things if you give me a chance.
So Earth's rotating underneath aeroplanes then. So Earth is rotating underneath aeroplanes then, Rumpus.
Right, now this is the original...
Right? No, wrong, moron. That would shorten flight times.
No, it wouldn't.
Oh, wouldn't it? Earth rotating underneath an aeroplane wouldn't shorten a flight time. You're a retard. Yes, it would.
You don't understand relative velocity?
Just an ad hom. I don't understand. Yeah, I understand that if I'm rotating underneath something, that would shorten its flight time. The projectile has got Earth rotating underneath it. You're an idiot. You don't understand. You don't understand Coriolis, retard.
Relative velocity has got nothing to do with Coriolis.
Relative losses? Sorry, apparent deviation, mate. Don't you understand what Coriolis effect is? Apparent deviation, moron.
Yeah, and that's a force causes a deviation.
Not a force, moron. No force is causing anything to curve. Nothing's curving if you have Coriolis effect. I don't witness planes seeming to curve as Earth rotates underneath them. And if it did, that would shorten flight times.
Hey, Rumpus, I got a question for you. Does apparent also means real?
Right, so the reason...
No, wrong. Not right, idiot. Wrong. Apparent doesn't mean real, it means not actual. Observed but not really happening.
That was an Arwin's comment, not mine. So, when you're in an aeroplane and you run up...
That's not an observation from a non-inertial reference frame. You're immediately talking about something that isn't Coriolis effect, aren't you, Rumpus?
Correct, I am.
No! You keep telling me I'm correct when I point out and absolutely pummel you that you're about to start detailing something that isn't Coriolis, aren't you, dickhead?
That's because there are two things under discussion. You don't...
No, there's Coriolis effect under discussion. You want there to be two things, but there's only one, Coriolis effect. And if you're going to be detailing it, you are going to be detailing it from the non-inertial spinning reference frame. You're not going to detail what a plane does, because that's not Coriolis, moron.
As usual, when there are more than one thing to understand, you can't...
No, there's not more than one thing to understand. There's Coriolis effect. You rotating under things. That's it.
No, Coriolis is not rotating under things.
Yes, it is. It's an inertial reference frame over the top of a non-inertial spinning reference frame. You spinning underneath, giving you a not actual deflection. That would mean not deviating in reality, seeming to deviate because you rotate underneath. That is Coriolis effect. Clearly you don't understand what Coriolis effect is, moron.
I would like to explain why a spinning Earth does not cause flight.
What, you're going to assume a spinning Earth and tell us why it doesn't cause Coriolis? So we're going to assume Earth, even though I've told you you're not going to get to beg the question here. You're now going to demand that you're going to get to beg the question. No, fuckwit. You don't get to beg the question here and just say, let's assume Earth's spinning, and I'll justify why we don't have a deflection. Nah, mate, you're supposed to have one if Earth's spinning. You don't, because it would reduce flight times.
When you say that flight time should be changed, you are assuming a rotating Earth. So
I'm saying we haven't got a rotating Earth because we'd have shortened flight times. I'm saying we are proving Earth isn't spinning because the flight times are not reduced. I'm not assuming a spinning Earth, you moron.
Exactly, you're imagining a spinning Earth.
No, I'm not. I'm saying if it was spinning, we'd have deflection. And if we had deflection, Earth would be rotating underneath. We don't have Earth rotating underneath. Therefore, we don't have deflection. We don't have a spinning Earth. I'm not imagining it. I'm debunking it.
Yes. I think Rumpus is spinning.
Yeah, you eat your mic for me, bitch. While I shit on your religion. Eat your mic, bitch. That's you, Rumpus. You're my bitch, telling me how right I am. I know I'm right. I know you're constantly detailing what happens in the inertial reference frame, and that's not Coriolis.
You're a twat and a moron, that's what you
are. You enjoy my salty nuts, you fucktard idiot that doesn't understand Coriolis. Yeah? You want to ad hom me when I'm pummeling you and you're telling me I'm right. Yeah, that's not going to go over very well when you've told me I'm right.
You don't have relative velocity, and that's your problem.
A loss? A loss? What? You've just confirmed whenever I point out that you're trying to detail stuff that's not an observation from a spinning reference frame, like what a plane does. You say, that's correct, Nathan.
There are two things going on.
Coriolis was your positive claim.
And you
why
don't
are you arguing for why is
now it's you don't understand. I don't understand. Yeah, I do. Not only do I understand when I've confirmed what you're not doing, which is detailing Coriolis, you tell me I'm correct.
I'm happy to detail Coriolis, but
I've detailed it. Non-inertial spinning reference frame with something in an inertial reference frame seeming to deviate. End of explanation. Done.
No, you don't understand Coriolis?
Yeah, I do. That's the explanation. That's what you require. 15 degrees claim of Earth turning underneath. That's Earth turning underneath, shit for brains. I do understand. Your ad hom won't change the fact that you've already confirmed 3 times how right I am. I know I'm right. I also know where you're lying to my audience when you start detailing what's happening to things in the inertial reference frame when that's not Coriolis.
The only thing you got correct is my train analogy wasn't anything to do with Coriolis, and that is...
So why the fuck did you give it then? So the amount of times we've spent with you here telling us about what happens to a guy on a train, and yet that's nothing to do with Coriolis. The amount of times you've argued that point here, dickhead, and yet it's nothing to do with Coriolis.
Because my train...
Because your train's nothing to do with Coriolis!
Because my train analogy...
It's got nothing to do with Coriolis.
The flight time problem you have...
Nothing to do with Coriolis either. Observation from a spinning platform. So what the plane does and how it does it isn't Coriolis!
On a rotating reference frame, flight times would not be affected.
Oh, really? So you think that you take off from a spinning roundabout and then you land on a different part of the roundabout. It hasn't affected your journey on the roundabout?
You more.
Yeah, you eat it for me, bitch. Eat that mic for me, bitch. I love destroying the fact that you don't spin. I love it when you eat your mic. It tells me that you're a bitch.
It seems like the real thing that's spinning here is
rotating
Rumpus.
object. It doesn't make any difference to flight times.
Yeah, it does. So if I'm flying from point A to point B on a roundabout with a drone, and I fly on the roundabout when it's not spinning, and I travel 2 meters to the next point on the roundabout, the next section on the roundabout, that will take 3 seconds. If I spin the roundabout, it might take 1.5 seconds because the roundabout spun underneath the drone, shortening the drone's flight time. If we have Coriolis effect, that would be an observed, not actual deflection because we're spinning underneath something, like a plane, then we're spinning underneath it. And if we're spinning underneath it, the continent that plane's travelling to is coming towards it, debunking Earth turn. Because if we've got Coriolis, Earth is turning under planes, your ipsy-dixit hand wave's not going to cut it, retard.
You don't understand relative.
That's just an ad hom. I do understand. I've detailed it about 6 times to you here, while you tell me about how your examples aren't Coriolis!
The plane leaves the ground.
Don't tell me what the plane does. The observation from a non-inertial spinning reference frame has got nothing to do with what the plane does. Don't you understand? I've said it about 10 times. Are you retarded? Coriolis, Rumpus, is an observational-based effect. What the plane does isn't an observation of the plane. Idiot.
You said the plane would have a problem.
Yeah, it would if Earth was rotating underneath. That's what debunks Earth turn.
But on a rotating, it wouldn't make any difference.
On a rotating platform, if you take off in a drone, I've just explained this, no acknowledgement from Rumpus. If I take off on a roundabout that's not spinning, and I travel from one side of the roundabout to the other side of the roundabout in 5 seconds. So I launch, I move the stick forward, I travel to the next section on the roundabout and then land. That could take a second. Now, if I spin the roundabout, it might take half a second because the roundabout has added to the speed because it has rotated underneath the drone, shortening the flight of the drone through the inertial reference frame because the non-inertial reference frame has turned underneath. So it would reduce flight times. It's just an ipsy-dixit fallacy.
The plane leaving the roundabout would have the velocity of the edge of the roundabout.
No, it wouldn't. That's angular retention of velocity. That's not Coriolis effect. It doesn't retain velocity. It leaves it if you're having Coriolis effect. Separate reference frames. Not one reference frame with all the same angular velocity. That wouldn't give you Coriolis effect either. You need 2 reference frames, you retard.
Jump out of the train, you'd have the velocity of the train.
Even if it was just a helicopter just hovering, Rumpus, you would still have Coriolis effect if the Earth is spinning underneath it. So it doesn't matter about your stupid velocity.
He said angular velocity, so the plane leaving, because angular velocity is measured revolutions. So the plane leaves the reference frames, it's still rotating.
When you have a helicopter that's hovering, the helicopter is travelling at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator.
No, it isn't. That's begging the question. Don't beg the question here. Don't just tell me that the bloody helicopter's moving at 1,000 miles an hour with a spinning Earth on the equator. Don't beg the question, retard.
It's a fact.
No, it's not a fact. It's a begging the question fallacy. If Earth was rotating and we had Coriolis effect, that would be me rotating underneath the aeroplane. Then Earth is rotating under planes and shortening flight times. That's what Coriolis effect is. Simple.
What's his evidence for Earth rotation? He says it's a fact. What's his evidence?
If a plane is travelling at 500 miles at the
I don't care what the plane's doing. That's not Coriolis effect. I keep telling you. Stop detailing what the plane is doing. If you've got a claim that proves Earth spins, it's going to be in the form of Coriolis deviation. That's an observation from a non-inertial spinning reference frame, not what the plane's doing.
A plane that's travelling at...
Stop telling me what the plane's doing. Have I got to tell you 25 times that this magic trick ceased to work now, thanks to Zanuck? You can pat Zanuck on the back, because Zanuck was the one that led me to realise that no, we're never going to be detailing what the projectile does if we're detailing not actual deflection from a non-inertial spinning reference frame. Because you could detail it with a lamppost concreted into the ground. The force that you claim is being applied to this plane is non-existent because there isn't one. It's not a force. So we don't need to worry about the projectile, only about the observation from the spinning reference frame. You idiot. You don't understand Coriolis. You keep detailing what planes do.
Under the aeroplane,
you keep detailing what planes do. And now you're telling me that because I'm detailing what would debunk the claim of Coriolis, that suddenly I can't talk about planes. I can talk about planes because it debunks Earth turn. You can't because that's not Coriolis effect. The causes of Coriolis effect would shorten flight times. And you're detailing something that isn't anything to do with Coriolis when you detail a plane in the inertial reference frame. That's not an observation from the spinning reference frame. That's not Coriolis, as you've conceded, like your man on a train. So I'm not going to talk about it because it's not Coriolis.
You're getting smashed.
Got nothing to do with the Coriolis either, you twat.
Yeah, it's something to do with the causes, though, isn't it? If you had a Coriolis effect, as is claimed on a ball Earth that spins, Earth's rotating under planes, shortening flight times, and it doesn't happen. That's not me begging the question. That's me debunking a claim of Earth spinning and having Coriolis effect because Earth's rotating under planes. It isn't. It would reduce the flight times.
You keep on saying that the Earth is rotating.
Can I ask
No, I don't.
question?
Earth is not. I don't keep saying Earth's rotating under planes. Earth is definitely not rotating under planes because it would shorten flight times. That's not begging the question. It's pointing out unequivocally how Earth is not rotating under planes. Rumpus needs a little ham-handed segue into begging the question by claiming I'm claiming planes have the Earth rotating underneath. No, definitely not. That would reduce flight times.
No, it wouldn't. If you imagine...
Yeah, it would. I've just explained it with a drone. Helicopter, it takes off the roundabout, moves across the roundabout without it spinning. It takes a fixed duration of, say, 3 seconds. You spin the roundabout underneath. It shortens the distance, shortens the time, reduces the flight time from one section to the other. Exactly the same thing that would happen on a spinning ball Earth. If I take off in a helicopter and just hover, I don't move at any relative miles per hour to my inertial reference frame. I'm static. I'm not moving. But the Earth rotates underneath, that will give you a flight time when you didn't even have one because you didn't have a mile per hour in the inertial reference frame. Merely Earth rotating underneath, bringing a different destination to you. So if Earth's rotating underneath, it shortens flight times. Your hand wave won't cut it.
Well, let me explain. A drone attached to a roundabout will go at the velocity of the roundabout.
And when it's not attached, it won't. Well, planes aren't attached to spinning roundabouts. When they leave them, they're not attached anymore. Therefore, if Earth was spinning, Earth would be spinning under planes, and it doesn't.
When planes leave the tarmac...
Stop talking about what planes do. You're talking about a projectile. If you're going to detail Coriolis effect to prove Earth spins, you're damn well going to be talking about what happens from the observation point, not from the point of view of the plane.
You just said on a rotating Earth, when it leaves the rotating Earth, it would lose that velocity. It doesn't. It keeps the velocity of the rotating Earth.
What's that got to do with Coriolis effect?
Because it's got nothing... Indeed, because there are two...
So there's nothing to do with... Indeed, nothing to do with Coriolis effect.
I heard it, Rumpus.
Yeah, flight times have got...
Yeah, eat it. Eat that mic, you bitch. Eat it. Every time I teabag you, you eat your mic. It's a tell.
Flight times have nothing to do with the Coriolis effect.
That's correct. Flight times have got nothing to do with the Coriolis effect. However, if you were to observe Coriolis effect in an aeroplane, that would imply Earth was rotating underneath and it would shorten the flight times.
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah, it would. Eat it. Eat that mic, bitch. Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would. Because Earth is rotating underneath something. Simple.
No, it isn't. That's the relative velocity.
Sorry, Earth isn't rotating underneath, so we don't have Coriolis effect then.
We do have Coriolis effect.
Well, then Earth would be rotating underneath. That's what you need for Coriolis effect. You're double speaking. You seem to be saying Earth isn't and Earth is rotating underneath.
There are two issues. One is the
No, there's only one. The fact that Earth isn't rotating underneath, shortening flight times. That's the only issue. You yet to address it. Other than saying, no, it wouldn't.
Well, you won't let me answer. You don't get me
You did answer. You said no, it wouldn't. I point out how it would reduce flight times, and your answer to that isn't an explanation of how it wouldn't, because it would. It must, because that's the effect you get if you've got Coriolis. The only reason you see a curve in the plane is because Earth's rotating underneath it, according to the ball Earth claim. And if Earth's rotating underneath it for you to see an apparent deflection, that would be Coriolis effect, something that you're not going to be detailing if you describe what the plane's doing. If you've got it curving because you're rotating underneath, then you're rotating underneath, shortening flight times.
Coriolis has nothing to do with flight times.
No, but the curved path that you would observe from the ground would imply that Earth is rotating underneath the plane to give you what you see in the form of a curved trajectory that isn't actually curved, it's merely Earth rotating underneath, and that would shorten flight times.
When a plane is doing 500 miles...
Stop telling me what a plane's doing at 500 miles an hour. Start by telling me about what happens from the observation on the non-inertial reference frame, the spinning Earth that you claim. So you're going to start your claim with, from the non-inertial spinning reference frame, I will observe this Coriolis deviation to prove Earth spins. Not from the inertial plane of reference, on the plane where no Coriolis effect can be detected, experienced, or ever detailed ever. That's not how you're going to start your claim of proof of Earth spins, which is Coriolis, because you're not going to detail it from the plane. That can't happen. If you're going to keep doing it, I'm going to kick you out, because you're not detailing Coriolis. That's what you need to prove Earth spins. Coriolis deflection. So I'm not going to listen to what you detail from a position that won't give you that. That's the inertial reference frame the plane is in.
From the ground. That's exactly what I was doing.
When the plane takes off, you're telling me what's happening from an observation from the ground. No, you're not. You're telling me what happens to the plane when it takes off.
No, I wasn't. I was.
Yeah, you were. You were telling me what happens to the plane when it takes off. That's not an observation. That's what happens to the projectile. Nothing to do with Coriolis.
From the perspective of the ground, you moron.
Oh, from the perspective of the ground, when the plane takes off, does it take a curved trajectory because the Earth's rotating underneath the plane?
Right, from the ground.
Right! No, it doesn't. I've never experienced that. That's never happened ever. And if it did, the flight times would be reduced. Why'd you keep saying right? So you think Earth's rotating under planes, Rumpus?
From the ground, the movement between the aeroplane and the Earth, which you call the Earth rotating underneath, or you say...
I don't call it that. Earth isn't rotating underneath. That would reduce flight times. Why'd you keep saying that I'm asserting this as a positive claim? Do you think this little burden of proof reversal fallacy is going to work on me? I'm not claiming Earth spinning underneath planes. I'm claiming it definitely isn't.
Appreciate that, but...
Oh, do you? Good. Welcome to non-rotating Earth. You don't have Coriolis effect. Earth's not rotating under planes. Flight times would be reduced if it was.
That's right. You're making the...
Yes, right. So a concession. You appreciate that Earth rotating underneath planes would reduce flight times then. Absolutely necessitated. Absolutely does not happen.
You are making the claim that on a rotating Earth...
No, I'm not making a claim on a rotating Earth ever. No. We don't have a rotating Earth because planes would have their flight times reduced. Ergo, we don't have a rotating Earth. I'm not claiming Earth's rotating. That's the third time you've used this shitty burden of proof reversal fallacy on me. It's not going to work, dickhead.
You don't let me finish the sentence. Here we go.
You've told me that I'm claiming something. That I'm claiming Earth's rotating? No. I'm disproving that. Not claiming it, you stupid shithead.
I never said you did, you twat.
Yeah, you did. You said it 30 seconds ago. You keep telling me Earth's rotating underneath planes. No, I don't. Earth is not rotating under planes. It would shorten flight times. But to have a Coriolis effect on Earth, it must rotate under planes and doesn't because it would shorten flight times if it did.
Yeah, you won't let me finish my sentence.
So it's just protestations now. Every time I teabag him, he just moans he's not getting the end of his sentence. No, you give us an affirmation. You say things like, yeah, when you should say, no.
You're saying...
No, I'm not.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Right. You're saying that...
Wrong. No, not right. Incorrect. Wrong.
You're saying that...
No, I'm not saying. You're about to tell me about how I'm describing how Earth's rotating under planes. No, I'm not. Earth isn't rotating under planes, so unless you're going to start your disproving Earth turn with... Unless you're going to start like that, this burden of proof reversal fallacy won't work if you try it 10 more times. You stupid shit for brains.
You'll see that I'm trying to do very much like that.
Can I just ask him one question?
Go ahead.
Rumpus, in your narrative, is the Earth always spinning?
But you are making the... you're saying that...
Can you answer the question, Rumpus,
Will you shut up, you stupid talker?
Eat it, bitch. Eat it while we teabag you. Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, is it painful, Rumpus? Do you need to eat your mic because we're destroying your religion? Do you need to eat your mic? Oh, how sweet. Yeah, your religion's dying, mate. You'd need Earth rotating underneath planes for Coriolis effect to be real. And that would shorten flight times. Now eat your mic for me, you little fundy bitch. I love it.
Engage with me is to mute
eat it, bitch. Eat it.
to disprove the Earth rotating is...
Yeah, we did
I
disprove
didn't think that was a
rotating.
hard question, Rumpus. I just asked you, in your narrative, is the Earth always spinning?
The case, if the Earth were rotating. You don't understand that's an invalid argument.
Yeah, we know Earth's not rotating. We realise. We know it's not rotating because it would shorten flight times if we were to observe a Coriolis deviation.
Rotating Earth does not cause a reduction.
So why are you begging the question? Why are you telling us that Earth is rotating as the starting of your statement? That's a begging the question fallacy. Same shit 5 times in a row.
I say if the Earth was flat, I then say...
if the Earth was spinning is a begging the question fallacy, you stupid shithead. Do you think by saying, if I detail a flat Earth with the same fallacy... No. I'm not going to let you get away from begging the question, idiot.
You don't have to make a proposal. You imagine the scenario...
Oh, I imagine it, do I? If you think you haven't tried that 6 times already by telling me I've got to imagine you're begging the question fallacy. Do you think I'm stupid? No, idiot. You're not going to get to beg the question here. You stupid shit for brains, fundy religitard moron who keeps detailing things that aren't Coriolis effect and claiming I'm claiming Earth spinning with a burden of proof reversal fallacy. You're just a moron.
Nathan, I absolutely don't want to be white knighting here, but I think that what Rumpus is really trying to say is that if the Earth were rotating, you wouldn't have Coriolis. I think that is really what he's trying to say isn't possible.
I see. Well, while that's fascinating, you'd need Coriolis effect because that's what they claim proves Earth spinning. So without it, they don't have a proof Earth spinning. To justify it by saying, well, I claim we do have Coriolis effect, but no deviation, that's the antithesis of Coriolis effect now, isn't it? Yes, Nathan, that's right.
I was hoping to hear a Rumpus confirmation or a disapproval.
Rumpus came on saying the Earth is rotating. Chocolate asked him, is it rotating all the time? And Rumpus says that's an invalid argument.
Yeah, I got that.
Apparently.
You twat. Who said that twat?
I'm a twat. You're
right,
the
so
twat.
the way you deal with ideas is you propose an idea and if you can invalidate the idea.
Is the Earth always spinning, Rumpus?
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Oh, what's the effect of that, Rumpus?
Well, it's actually quite difficult to find. There are about 10 ways you can find out that the Earth rotating. One of them,
the Earth is spinning, but it's difficult to find.
2 is the Coriolis effect. Hold on, I'm trying to...
So is the Coriolis effect one of those proofs or not? Is Coriolis effect going to give you a proof Earth spinning?
Ask the question I'd like to answer. So there are other ways. If you drop... If you
should be institutionalized. There's a second law of thermodynamics apply to the Earth.
It will be deviated by the rotation of the Earth. So I've given
the second law of thermodynamics apply to the Earth.
It's just rhetoric, just chanting, non-stop, filibustering, spewing, scattergunning, everything under the sun.
If the Earth's spinning, right, rotating, then Nathan would be correct, wouldn't he, in saying that there would be shorter distances in the flight times because it would cause a wind. And if you were flying with the wind...
The wind rotates with the Earth. The atmosphere rotates with the Earth.
So depending on which way you were flying, you'd be upwind or downwind.
Hold on. If the wind is rotating with the Earth, how do you have Coriolis, Rumpus?
The atmosphere rotates
you don't.
With the Earth.
That's the whole thing.
Hold up. Rumpus, did you just say the wind is rotating with the Earth?
He can't let you ask him a question. He just wants to say the atmosphere is rotating with the Earth 50,000 times over the top of you so that he doesn't have to listen to anything and hoping that only his rhetoric will reach the audience so that they get a nice, heavy, thick dose of spewing, scattergunning rhetoric with no justification or debate taking part in between. So Rumpus isn't interested in listening to your question. He just wants to spew rhetoric over the top of every word everyone says.
Down the aisle in an aeroplane. Either way is just as easy to walk up and down an airplane or in a train.
He's talking about walking up and down an airplane. In other words, when I detailed how walking up and down an airplane wasn't Coriolis effect, and he confirmed that that's not Coriolis effect, he's ignored that and is now detailing it after explaining that Coriolis effect will prove Earth spins, and then detailing something that I've already debunked earlier, and he's conceded and said I'm right about. Now he's filibustering, constantly talking, not listening to anybody says. I think it's time to kick him out because he's literally not listening to a word anybody says anymore. He's just filibustering the Discord server from now on because he's lost.
He's just waiting to speak again once you stop.
No, I've already debunked that walking up and down a train or a plane is not Coriolis effect. He's confirmed that. But yeah, he still wants to go through it, even though it's been debunked earlier, and he's confirmed it. I even got a concession out of him. But what? Yeah, it's still appropriate to use that example over and over again. No. Bye-bye.
You just say like 2 minutes ago that the wind is spinning with the Earth. Wouldn't that be one reference frame?
That's correct.
Ouch. Then no Coriolis then.
I like that you cut him off. I don't want to hear his name.
Has he ever changed his mind or position?
Yeah, he has.
On any
a lot of times, but he never admitted it, though.
They used to say that they had a geometric horizon. Apparently, we've never seen the geometric horizon.
Oh yeah, remember things going over curves?
Yeah,
we do have a geometric horizon.
No, we don't have a geometric horizon. We do. We also used to have the whole body of science proving that Earth was a sphere. Now we have the whole body of human knowledge.
Well, he changed his mind on this show just a few minutes ago by bringing up something and then agreeing with you that it isn't anything to do with Coriolis, but he wanted to bring it up to prove Coriolis. I mean, he changed his mind how many times already?
That's why I kicked him out. It's like at the point that I've absolutely annihilated and he's conceded that what he's detailing isn't Coriolis. And he's like, yes, you're correct. This isn't Coriolis. Later on in the discussion, well, let's start detailing what happens when a man walks up and down a plane. They're like, no, we've already covered this with the train example. It's exactly the same. But he wants to use the same example to confuse and dilute and obfuscate. That's all he's doing. And it's like, no, when I've pummeled it once, I'm not going to allow you to do it again. What, should I just pummel the same thing with the same exact demolition of it again? But this time probably won't get a concession from him where, no, you're absolutely right. This isn't anything to do with Coriolis effect. But I'm going to argue it whilst talking about Coriolis to claim I'm proving Earth spins with Coriolis.
Yeah, he's basically saying, hey, this thing I'm right now bringing up as an argument has nothing to do with the argument.
Yep.
Thanks, Rumpus.
Yep.
That was what he was doing.
And is unstable in all his ways.
But very effective, wouldn't you agree? Given that now Xanax handed us on a plate, the fact that they can never assert anything to happen from the inertial reference frame again, it's only ever an observation from the non-inertial spinning reference frame. Well, the moment anybody like Rumpus did, start saying, well, the plane, when it takes off, I couldn't give a shit. Not Coriolis. Well, yes, that's right, Nathan, It's not Coriolis. Yeah, well, why are you arguing it then? Because you need to obfuscate away from Coriolis because you don't have any on a spinning Earth? Because it's not spinning? Yeah, that's why you need to start talking about what happens to projectiles and planes and trains and single reference frames. Because it's not Coriolis and you don't have any. If you did, you'd just point it out. It would just be proving Earth spins, really obviously. But instead, we've got to argue about things that don't prove Coriolis, aren't Coriolis, in an argument about Coriolis.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
With that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to today's Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in the Nathan Oakley Premiering Stream audience for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Another massive thank you to today's G Plus and Discord panel for making the after show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.